What this allows you to do is link your Trello immediately from this particular email. It asks you can set a due date with immediate effect. This is more like a management tool where you can actually create links to the things that you're following or tracking or keeping abreast of. Also, just if they've got each of those folders in OneDrive would actually have a link. So what you could do is attach the link here. So you don't need to attach all the documents. I suspect the working papers are obviously quite a lot. So you would just attach that link, and then that clerk or person who needs to review the information can just click on that link and it'll take them directly to that specific folder.
I invited Darren Wickham of Salion. He's our IT professional with our company, Dryk Holdings. Been serving us for probably the last year and a half, if I need to guess very quickly. And I asked him to assist us with a very interesting tool to manage your workflow in your business. Doesn't matter what kind of business you have. You can use this tool, and it's called Trello. It's a Trello board. And for the last about probably 3 years, since about end of 2017, I started exploring ways to optimize cloud kind of working in the cloud and work remotely and being able to do that. And I must be honest, when COVID struck in lockdown in March, it was really very easy for us to really just move our office to our home and just operate and go from there, with the help of obviously with Darren and his team as well, and obviously with our history of the last 3 years trying to get everything on the cloud and work remotely. So it was always a dream of mine to get to that place of doing everything remotely, and being an accountant. It's a tough task, but I think we've managed to get there. Right, I can honestly say I think we managed to get there. So Darren, thank you very much. I'm gonna pretty much hand over to you the whole session. But thank you very much for joining me today and give a lot of added value to us.
Thanks, Jasper.
I'm really looking forward to it, and I think there's a lot of people probably with a lot of questions, but I also have a lot of questions. I know I'm going to learn a lot from you today, even that we obviously using Trello currently in our company.
Thanks again. Yes, there's a lot to learn in the program. My idea is just to, as you reiterated, that many people can use this. It doesn't have to be any kind of business. It's quite open, and even for your own personal planning, because we do have personal lives that we also need to plan and keep that work-life balance going. So we're just going to dive right in, if that's okay. If Jasper, if you can just manage, if there's any questions or any shout outs, just let me know, and I'll try and answer as much as possible as I can while we go. So I'm just going to share.
I will just for managing the session. We've got about an hour. So I'm going to try to leave you on it, and I will monitor Facebook and see if there's any questions. And if there's any questions, I have every like 15 minutes or so, we can maybe have a quick Q&A with you.
That's perfect. That'll be great.
Awesome. Right. I'm going to mute myself, and you can go ahead. Thank you very much.
Thanks to stay.
Okay.
So Trello is a project management or workflow management system. And one of the things that it's used for is obviously create a visual aspect to your workflow or work diagram. So if we have a look at here, you can go to Trello.com and you need to sign up for an account. Some of the basic things that you need to do is obviously set up a username and password. In the beginning, we're only going to be looking at setting up personal boards, and I'll touch on a little bit of creating a team board as well. So here is the Trello main screen. It normally starts on the home screen. And in this particular example, I'm going to show you how to set up the basic things of your Trello board. The The Trello board is a Kanban system which was created in Japan and early World War II, actually, which was a visual way of seeing how things moved across a production line, and it helped people see what's missing, what needs to be done, and basically fix any inaccuracies or see problems before they started. So we're going to start with our little setup board here, which we just by creating a new board. And I'm just going to orientate you a bit around Trello. So we all have more than one device that we need to work on nowadays. So you can also load Trello as an app on your phone. So it is web-based. It is free for personal boards and up to 10 boards for business, which is a real great help. So you would install this on your phone or mobile device as well, so that you can keep your ideas flowing while you're moving from place to place and on the go. So just to orientate, we've got a menu button over here and the name of your board over here, which you can call anything you like. And then the first place we need to stop is at our menu. I'm going to click on here, and you'll see more about this board, what it can do, and how it works. So the first thing we need to look at is changing the background. It might not seem important, but it is a very important tool because it helps you identify boards that are important to you when we're looking up on a list. The list over here will give you an indication of all the boards you have and what their pictures look like. So you can associate a picture with a board, as many of us are very visual. And then the first thing we're going to do in our board is just check our settings. So our settings are important. Card covers, we'll get to later. It enables us to have pictures on the board. And labels. So labels are about how you're going to organize your data. It allocates colors, and you can give these labels actual names as well. So we'll get deeper into that a little bit more. Something very important is a link to this board that we need to check, and also our email to board settings. You'll see this is quite a long email address. It's not a problem. All we need to do is either take it down and save it as a contact, or you can just say, email me this address. What's important here is to set up where it will appear in the list, should you send an email, and the position. But we'll get more into this shortly. So that's just the orientation of the settings menu. So the first thing we need to do is to plan our project or workflow. I'm just going to create a simple, very simple to-do list. So I would add a list first. So I'm going to say our first thing is to do, and add list. The next thing is maybe your in progress. And I always need a follow up. And then we move to completion. So Trello uses lists and cards, and the whole thing sits on a board. So just that when I talk about a list, we're referring to this. When I talk about a card, you'll see we add cards here. So this will be Monday's work. So that is a card. A card is an actual task that you will be completing, which sits on the list, which then also sits on the larger board in progress. So that is just a simplistic view of how we would look at this. We've got this would be our process, as we would call it. So it's important when you're planning your board, you could implement this in many ways. Good examples are sales processes. So you could have quote, maybe then you need to send a contract, and then you need to generate an invoice, and then it goes into production and completion. So there's lots of variables for this where you can implement it throughout your business. So your cards are basically a task that you need to do, or a simplistic view, an overall view of what you need to do or to achieve. So this would be similar to an Outlook task list where you'd add all the things you need to do today. So let's see, collect laundry, in progress, or maybe to follow up. And I'm going to say in progress, training manuals to the email. So there we've got a very basic list to start off with, and you can see the steps that which need to be followed in order to get to completion. So it's as simple as dragging it to follow up or dragging it to complete. So this is a great way for you to see how things are going and where you are in the progress, in the process of this. So this board's looking a bit bleak. We might want to add some color, and that's what we're going to look at next. Many people are visual, and that is the whole secret to Trello, is to create a visual representation of your project. So you can immediately see what is outstanding and what still needs to be done and where you are at all the time. Many business people battle with managing and juggling all the various aspects of their lives, as well as business, who's doing what, where, when, and how. So the first and most important thing to do is obviously to plan your project or your steps or lists and the workflow and how it's going to be handled for you. So we're going to go back to our menu that I discussed in the very beginning, where we can now start personalizing. We've got a background, which I'm quite happy with. And we have got, let's use some labels to color things up. So we can give our labels a name, which I'm going to do here now, new project. Let me save it. Let's say urgent and completed. Right, so we've given our labels names and colors. It's important to note these are the default labels that have been created by the system, and we'll get to why this is important later. However, if we keep it in this order, this has actually got a numerical order, 1 through to 6. So this would be 1, that would be 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. That just makes it easier for referencing later. So I'm going to go to my Monday work, and I'll see, okay, I need to plan this as a new project. I can now add labels to this, add pictures to this, and add any information that I feel is important for my particular event or task. So I'm just going to label this by right-clicking, edit labels. I'm going to say this is a new project and save. So now we have a new project. Now I know that's green. Collect laundry, it's probably urgent. And training manuals completed. So as you see, we're beginning to get more and more information on a visual way on your list. So immediately I can see what's important by looking at the red, or what is being completed and processed in blue, and what is new projects. That's just a simplistic way to look at the labeling and just adding some color to your Trello board. Just going to go a little bit deeper now. Is there any questions so far from anyone?
There's no questions currently, so I'm monitoring it. So I'll save a few of my questions as well for later, so you can keep going. Thank you.
Okay, cool.
Awesome.
All right, so now on our Trello board, it's very important to customize this for you, because obviously the more visual or the more things it triggers, the easier it is you're going to be remembering things, and then you'll be able to get through these tasks, and it'll be something that you look forward to. It's very important when doing task management and project management, that as much information is available for you all the time. So I'm going to look at this Monday work and I'm going to say, okay, well, I would actually like a cover for this to give it a little bit more of importance. So I can set the size of my cover, can either completely color the card or just give it a heading. So I'm going to choose a heading. I'm going to make this blue. Not because it's Blue Monday, but just because it's blue. And I'm going to say here, okay, completion. That's always a good thing, something to tick off. And I'm going to say, right, we're going to do our cover here. And this card I'm going to make fully completed. So you see the difference in how your cards look on the board. So we've looked at boards. This is a board. We've looked at our lists. We've looked at our cards. And so we're going to move over into a little bit more detail. And that is working with these things every day. All right. So just one moment while I load this up. You'll see in Trello, you've got an option to take this a little bit deeper. These are our main tasks. So these are ideas. And now we can go deeper into what we want to make a note about. So a description here is about what this is about. So Monday work is all the projects that need planning for the week. So it gives a description of the card. So you're able to see immediately what this card is about. Remember, Trello looks at sharing information with people. So when we share information, we need to give as much detail and communicate as much as possible so that people have insight into what is expected of them and to give you correct feedback. So I've added a description there. You'll see we've got some extra things here. One thing that's really, really great is checklists. So on Monday, we can create a checklist that needs to happen maybe every Monday, or it can be a checklist for anything. So I'm just going to call this Monday's checklist. And we can add. And now it actually asks you to add items. So I can say collect mail, set up meetings, create catalog, and now we have a checklist of things that need to be completed. I'm going to close this for a moment, and you'll see that this card has also changed. It's now got a little checkbox indicating the number of tasks that are still outstanding. So I've created 3 tasks and none have been completed. So when we're sharing this with a team, it's important to note and also great to see what has been completed. So we can see we're at 67%. We can see 2 of 3 were completed. So as this card moves to in progress, we're able to see exactly what has been done. Again, a very good way of creating that communication with other team members of what has been completed already, so we don't duplicate any work. And also for ourselves, I personally work with lots of checklists, and it's great, especially if you've loaded this on your mobile device. You're able to then quickly add a list on the go, or add things on the weekend, or whenever you have a moment that you remember something, and it helps you not forget about things. Once we tick something complete, this goes to green, and you'll notice that this card gets marked in green. So this is great to now know, okay, those tasks are completed, and we could move it into the complete list. So that is, I'm going to take this one back. That is just an example of how we would use checklists. And the very, very important thing that we all are probably very used to is due dates. So Trello is able to set up due dates for individual cards, which is great. So anything running on deadlines, and you can sort by these deadlines. You are able to choose a reminder. The maximum is 2 days before an actual event. So I'm going to set this for Friday, the 28th at 1:30 p.m. You can just type your time in here. And choose save. This now creates a due date. As you get closer and closer to the due date, it does change color, being yellow and I think red if it's overdue, and it indicates overdue. Again, our card has been updated, so we were able to see exactly when this is due. At the top of all your lists, you're able to see this is ellipsis dots. You can click on them and you can sort your list accordingly. So this is very, very important when you have lots of tasks. Let's just create another one so I can show you how that works. Let's give this a due date in the past. As you'll see, that's a great visual indicator that something is running behind schedule. So here we're able to now sort our cards, sort by either due date, alphabetically, or the date you've created, oldest or newest. So if I want to sort by due date, you'll see it's sorting this whole list by things and the dates that are due in that order. So I know what to work on first. So let's move this to in progress. When I check this as completed, it also marks it as green. So that's very helpful. Again, a visual reminder of the actual task has been completed or not. You'll also see here activity. So what Trello does is as you make changes to a card, whether you move it or delete it or make changes in the comments, you will see how it tracks all this information, which is great information for you, especially as a business owner. If you're sharing this with your team, you'll be able to see exactly who worked on it, when, what, and how, and what they updated. This is very important information. Okay. Something else that we can look up in Trello is if we want to move this around, we can also do that. No problem. So this is really, really flexible for you and your team. Maybe you'll need to see things that are in progress in a certain way. So I've moved that to that particular at the end so I can see what is in progress, and the completion things I'm not too worried about. So this is a great way to move your data and see at a glance how things are progressing. Okay, let's just take a little bit deeper into this now. So if we look at the options on the side of our card, we've got members. Members are, once you've got a team, you're able to assign a card to members or add members to an actual board as well as to a specific card. So this is great for assigning tasks to members. Our labels we discussed earlier is where we can label things based on your preference to help you identify things quickly. And then we've got our due date, excuse me, and we have attachment. Attachment is, again, helping you collaborate and add information to your Trello cards and lists. So attachments are used to, if you have a document or something that you need to include in that task. So maybe we've got something here, add an attachment. So what we have here is a list of things where we can attach from your local computer, from Google Drive itself, and from Dropbox, OneDrive, and we can attach external links. If we have a look here in our system, we've seen how the Trello board is being populated slowly. Something that's a very, very great tool to use is in our show menu. We can go back and look at our email to board settings. Now remember, I told you about this would come in handy later. We can actually email tasks to our board. When this happens, we can generate this task by just sending a simple email to this very long address, but we're going to give this an example. And we can choose, this is important part of the settings, is where it must appear. So I'm going to say, I'm going to add another list and call this ideas. I'm going to put it second. And I'm going to say that when I email to my board, I want it to go to ideas, and it must be at the top. Now that that setting is saved, let me give you an example of that. So I'm going to take just a test message, bring it over just so you can have a look. I'm going to forward this message to that long address. Just get that quickly. And I've now sent that email. So we should see it pop up here under ideas. There it is, popped up automatically. This is a very, very powerful tool because I know how everybody's on the go and busy and things happen and we need to get these things into Trello. Instead of logging into the system, recording something, making a note, we can get away with just adding that information by forwarding it to that email. I normally save it as to-do list board or sales board, etc., so that it can go to the correct board. So what's nice about this is that it shows the whole email with all the links attached, so that we've got a lot of information. And we can see all of that. Okay, this was a web-based board, a web-based email, so it's got a lot of links, but everything is here. You are able to change it if you like and log in here and just let's just simplify this one a bit. And I'm going to take that out. And take that out. Now I have the information that I need. Again, I can assign a label as urgent. What you may have noticed here is that the labels for someone new and using the system, so if you've got a team member using the system, they may not know what these labels actually mean. And in order to do that, they'd have to go and check what the labels mean on the show menu, go to our labels and say, oh, this is urgent. But there's a quicker way to do that. You can just click once on the label and it actually expands the label so you can, again, visually see at any time where we are with the project or what that particular label means. Let's just create one. I just want to give it a different color. Let's just mark this as new project. All right. So something we can also do is when we look at this, it can become overwhelming. Obviously, your Trello board gets full as you add ideas, projects, and things to do and tasks. But we're able to search for things in this board. So anything that needs to be, let's just say, work. And it shows me all the boards that have the word work. And it goes onto your other boards also. This is a great tool to see what all you have in that particular arena. So what all is related to that task. I'm just going to go back here to this new project that we added, and let's look at adding an attachment from my local computer. And let's add our favorite COVID tours benefits. And it actually uploads the attachment. It can't be bigger on the free version. It can't be bigger than 10 megabytes, but that's normally more than enough for you to have a look at and enough information. So that is, each attachment can't be more than 10 megabytes. You can attach, obviously, as many as you like. And here that attachment is now available, again, for the whole team to see and to use. It even opens from within the system. Depending on the size of the attachment will obviously change the amount of time that you have to actually look at it, or for it to load. We'll see how quickly this loads. Oh, it loaded quite quickly, so we're okay. So that's actually loading within Trello. Again, we're focusing on keeping all our information contained and available for everyone to see. And I'm just going to give this a description: terms, benefits, FAQ. Okay, great. Something you may have seen while we were busy talking is this Get Power-Ups. The free version of Trello allows you one single power-up. Now, depending on how you want to implement it, depends on the board you're going to use. For example, a power-up is basically a plugin which allows you to do some extra powerful things. The plugin that most people use is the calendar plugin. This allows you to see your whole view of your Trello board in a date calendar scenario. So I'm going to add that power up, and I'm going to say calendar and add. Okay, it's now loaded the calendar power up. Let's have a look. And you'll see immediately now the calendar button is available. If I click on calendar view, I'm able to see my work plan for in a month view or a week view, depends on what you want to see. But that's really, really great for planning. So that is one of the power-ups I would recommend, is the calendar one. The other one, depending on what you want to do with your Trello board, is the, let's just disable that one because we can only have one, is the custom fields. It's a very, very powerful power-up. And it allows you basically to add many fields to your Trello board. Just wait for that to load. Great. Now what custom fields allows you to do is, if we go and click on one of these, you'll see the custom field power-up has now been loaded. So let's go and create a custom field. And I'm going to say new field. And I'm going to say this is a, let's call it a drop-down list. And it is trial. Let's see if we can add some more. Low, high, and medium. We can also choose to show this on the front of the card. Let's just give that a color, blue. And we have our colors. And now we're able to add this field to our cards. They're available for all the cards on this board. You're only allowed one power up per board. So I'm going to say this is let's call this a medium priority. And you'll see here how this has been lit up on the card. You can now add another custom field. Maybe we want a value field. So we'd say number, and it's called sales value. And immediately our sales value is there. It doesn't use the symbols, the currency symbol. So we'll just go 1057. And there we go. And this is again available on the card. So you can see how this can integrate and be used for good flows for your sales pipelines, generating your pipelines, and be able to have a good look and an overview in your pipeline of where your customers are, where your opportunities are in a flow diagram. Okay, so we've covered some custom fields. We've covered power-ups. So calendar, again, my suggestion to use the calendar or the custom fields, depending on which board or what board you're setting up. Maybe your to-dos, you only want to use the calendar view, and your custom fields you prefer to use for something personal or your sales pipeline. Something else that's very, very important, you saw how email comes in. If there is a picture attached, it automatically attaches the picture, and we can add that as a cover page on here also to be a reminder. I'll just switch over to one of the boards that I created. The way I suggest that you can look and link information is the ultimate or all-in-one productivity board. This is one that I use, is basically to create lists for ideas and notes for things as they come to you, current projects or projects that you wish to start, today's tasks being things obviously that you need to complete today, follow-ups. This would normally be imminent follow-ups, so it wouldn't be something in the future. There we would use our future tasks. Waiting for information. So often we do things that we request information, or we need to do something first or get other information in before we go further. So we can add an extra waiting for information list where we can move things. So you get to see how your board can show you exactly where you are in every step of the way, and obviously when it comes to completion. Something that's really, really great also is you would have seen this little eyeball that pops up every now and then. So if we go back to our setup board, we have a look. If this card is, you're working in a team scenario and you want to know what happens on this particular card, you can use the watch. We click on watch, and what will happen is every time something happens to this card, whether it gets moved or changed, you will get an email about it. So you can track an individual task, or you can track an entire list. You're able to watch an entire list here. And that's important as we flow through things. Maybe you're interested to know what is moving into follow-up, so you could watch the follow-up list. And now anything moving in here, you would get an email about, which is really, really great for team management and also keeping you in the loop when you may not always be in the office. So the watch icon, just because that was quick, you can watch there by clicking on that little menu, watch. And then if you want to click on an actual task, you'd use the watch button over here. If you have a whole bunch of things that you need to create copies of, like create catalog, I'm just going to change the name here, create catalog for adverts. And I want to copy this because it's exactly the same, only I want a catalog for stock items. You can just click on this and choose copy. That asks you where we want to do it. And I'm going to say create catalog for stock items. And there is our new card. Obviously, when we choose copy, it moves all the information with it. Okay, so back to my all-in-one productivity board. Quite often in this task, as you can see, we've got no labels here. We want to see these colors, or we want to sort by a color or a particular way of looking at something. We're able to filter. So let me just see if we can find that here. That seems to have eluded me now. When we can filter our cards. Okay, I'll get back to that one. The next important thing is often we have tasks, as you can see here, that are linked to each other. So I'm going to look at this virtual assistant, hire a new virtual assistant, and I want to link it to a new card. We saw that we can add attachments. So if we click on attach and we choose Trello, it actually links all the existing boards and cards in this particular board. So I can say I want to link it to a particular board or a particular task. So I'm going to say I want to link it to the news flash. What actually happens here is it creates a full connection and attachment to that Trello card. What we want to do is also click on connect cards. It then asks you, would you like to relate both cards? This is a very powerful feature, and I'll show you why now. Let's just click relate to the cards. So what happens is in here, I'm looking and I see, oh, there is an attachment. Okay, so it's to do with Sage Business Cloud Payroll. If I click on this, it will actually take me to the board and the actual card. And I can go back the same way. So you can actually toggle between tasks and boards without having to switch here and choose your other board, which is a really, really powerful tool. So we've covered email to board, adding attachments, linking cards. We've done the power-ups.
Darren?
Yes.
Can I ask you to maybe just recap for myself as well, the email to the board that you explained towards the ideas, because I somehow missed the initial where you email it to.
Okay.
That's a powerful idea for myself as well to use.
Okay, great. Let me show you that. So I'm going to go back to our setup board. So the important thing here is to get your email address of your board, which you get from going to the settings, more, and then email to board settings. Remember that when you have shared this as a team, this is the same for the whole team. So we set this up and we choose where it must go. So we want this email to go into the list called ideas, and I want it at the top. So this address would be given to everyone in your team if you're sharing this across a team, and they would be able to email ideas as it comes in, which is very powerful for marketing and sales. You'll see there's an option here to generate a new email address. You might wonder why. If you are collaborating with a project for people and they're no longer on the project, we'd want to remove that email. So we generate a new email and update the team. But this is the address for this particular board. I've now chosen where it must go. So I'm going to just copy that. Or you can just choose email me this address and it will send it to you. And then in your email, you will go and create a contact and save that particular address. So I'm going to say new email. And here we go. Say, this is a test idea from email. So I send that off and it should hit our Trello board any second. There it is. So there is our email that came in, and we can now obviously go and edit this, add more information, add checklists, due dates, etc. Something else, if anyone out there is using Office 365, you have an option to integrate Trello into your email box, like I've done here. So you'll see this add to Trello. You add the plugin, and whenever I get an email, I can say, oh, okay, this is important, and I want to add my card to Trello. Just sign in. You normally only need to sign in once. Okay, doesn't like my password. I will look up that quickly. What this allows you to do is link your Trello immediately from this particular email. It asks you can set a due date with immediate effect. So that's if you have Office 365. Because it doesn't integrate with many of the older versions of Office, so we use the just plain sending an email. This also helps when you're using your phone. I just want to look up that password for you. Jasper, was that okay? Were you able to see what happened there?
Yes, that's perfect. Thank you very much. I think that's a very great tool. I definitely going to utilize for myself. I always use my Apple my notes from my iPhone, but it's quite a nice way to structure it and to keep it all at one place
All in one
and
place.
manage it as well. It's a lot easier to manage it here than on my notes. So most definitely a great tool to utilize.
One of my clients actually, they're in marketing, and so obviously when they travel and they see things that are inspiring to them, they take photos and then can obviously email it to their Trello board, and share it with their team. So that's also quite a nice feature. Let's have a look here for you. Guys, it seems that Trello plugin doesn't want to play, but I will find some information. Like anyone who wants to use it for their Office 365 account, I will send you a little document through Jasper to show you how that Trello plugin works.
If I can quickly ask you something else as well, just while you were talking, I was like, especially when you talk about sales teams, um, so I'm just thinking about the way that you can let's say you have a sales team that obviously let's go five different people. Let's make it easy. Two different guys that are on a sales team. So you will basically just do two different cards for them, or rather boards for them, and then separate obviously cards for each and every client that they contacted to do a potential sale. And then they can obviously add the value on there and do the follow up, etc. as well. So, is there any other way to delve deeper into that
Yes.
to obviously manage that?
Yeah, so you can look at see sales. It all depends the sales structure of a business. So sometimes your sales people are obviously in competition with each other. So then you'd maybe want a direct board for each salesperson, or as an overview, you'd want to have each person, instead of a list here called ideas, you'd have each salesperson here, and then they can send their information to this. However, if you're trying to keep it separate, you would have to set up a board per person. When you as the manager are sharing that board, so let's just do that as a quick example. This is a personal board, so we would need to create a team board. So let's just go and do that quickly. I'll say create a new board, and I'll say sales team A, and it asks you to set up a team board or a no team board, so a personal board. Remember, personal boards are unlimited. Sales or team boards are limited to 10. So I'm going to say this is a team board, and it's team visible. So all the members of the team are visible, and I'm going to say create board. So now what happens is this team, it has been created called the team. We're allowed 10, so I can create a new team. So I can say this is a create team. This is sales team A. When it creates this team, you can add members to this team. So this is your list of addresses that you can add to invite your team. In this case, it would just be yourself and obviously your sales rep or sales manager maybe. So you'd add them and they would be invited to the board. They do need to create an account in Trello, and then they would be linked to this board. Then they can also email to the board that you've set up, which is our sales team A board, because they would be linked. And again, we would just give them this board address. I'm just going to change this background because it looks the same as our other one. Let's just give it a view. And you'll see our email to board. This long number, although it all looks the same, has actually changed. So you would give this to your new sales team, and as they email things, it would come into this board. So sales team A would then be separated from sales team B, but you would be able to see all the boards. Or you could create a management board of your own and link those actual cards that you wanted to see or follow up on, as I showed earlier. If we just let's do that one. Now, productivity board, where I linked an actual Trello card. So I can add another one here. And Trello. And here is the board that I can add. So there's my sales team A board, and I've actually made a link to it. So now I can switch between boards without having to actual jump in here and going through the boards. So this is more like a management tool where you can actually create links to the things that you're following or tracking or keeping abreast on. Does that answer your question, Jasper?
Yes, perfect. Perfect. Thank you very much. I think that's amazing. A lot of amazing ideas that you gave me today. That we obviously already utilize Trello quite intensively, but
yes.
I think this is a next level usage of that. So it's definitely gonna utilize that as well. Something that I started using from my side was I've got one of my what do you call it, the boards. His name is Jasper to follow up or Jasper calls. So I would, in my case, I would try to limit my phone calls and communication in 2 chunks of the day, and then I can actually go to that specific board and just swipe out as I go along and phone the clients back or email or whatever I need to do. Can swipe it out, so my PA can list everything that comes in via WhatsApp or phone calls during the day on that board, and I can just swipe out the cards as it's completed. So it's quite a nice tool to you can play around with a lot of ideas on
Yes.
this thing, whatever suits your needs. So one thing I did we didn't do was we actually use Trello actually just for our management kind of tool, management flow and flow of the work. But the documentation that we upload, we rather use our OneDrive, and because we have our various clients on there and various tabs on there for information, so we'd rather have all our working papers of a specific month under that tabs and just note on Trello documentation is received and it's under the OneDrive folder saved. So that's just almost like an easier kind of gathering tool for us to do.
Yes, you can also just, if they've got each of those folders in OneDrive, would actually have a link. So what you could do is attach the link here. So you don't need to attach all the documents. I suspect the working papers are obviously quite a lot. So you would just attach that link, and then that clerk or person who needs to review the information can just click on that link and it'll take them directly to that specific folder. So that you'd also use the attach button, and you can just put in a link in over here, and it would be the OneDrive link.
Okay, the OneDrive. Okay, great.
Provided, obviously, in OneDrive it has to be shared because it's a shared link.
Yes, that's right. It makes sense.
Okay.
Excellent.
Okay. So I think that's all I have for you right now. I don't know if there's any questions have come up.
No, there's no questions currently. I think I've got all the questions. I think it was very, very thoroughly. So I think that's about it for today. And if there's any questions, I think we can do a potential follow up again.
Yes, definitely.
In another session. But yeah, I want to thank you for your time and your generous explanation on this. And I'm definitely going to send this to my team. I mean, you've been working with them, and I know you've done a session with Taylor as well to explain to her all the whole setup. But yeah, I will definitely send this to my team as well to dive into and to learn some more tricks on Trello.
Okay, and also just the guys out there, if you're listening, just remember to install it on your phone also, because it's very user-friendly on your phone, little app, and it will really help you on the go. And that's what this thing is about, helping you manage your things on the go.
I'm just going to close it quickly, and then I just want to, anybody that find value from this session, and you want to be in contact with Darren, obviously with your IT needs, what's the best place that you want them to contact you?
Because it's coming from the Trello training, they can just email trello@thalion.co.za, and we'll get all that information. So even if they've just got some questions on Trello, or if any of your viewers have got, they're not too sure how to get set up, just drop me a line on that Trello email, and I can help you. And anything to do with IT, if you want to know more what we can do for you and how to save you some bucks and manage your IT needs.